self-care means something different to everyone. It could be something you do on a daily basis, weekly basis. You could do it for free. You could spend money on it.
Welcome back to the PCOS Holistic Coach podcast with me, Dr. Ami Patel, pharmacist, fellow sister, and coach. This podcast is an easy to listen to resource for your busy on-the-go life. You will learn how you can live a healthier and happier life with PCOS from real conversations about managing PCOS and the symptoms with amazing guest speakers.
In the most recent episode, we heard on how to build a magical morning with the guest speaker and TEDx talker, Dr. Anita Bengali. Today, I'm going to talk about self-care, change your perspective on it, and give you tips to get started so you can practice self-care without guilt. The guilt associated with self-care comes from cultural conditioning, where we're made to believe that self-care is selfish. We're also made to believe that if we want our relationships to be stronger, we should continue to serve our loved ones. And if that comes at the cost of sacrificing our own needs, so be it. Cultural conditioning around women and the association that women should be caring, nurturing, and serve others. Also, growing up from a South Asian background, a lot of that culture also says that women should take care of the household and family. And growing up, I've seen many of my family members who are women do those things where they didn't question their own health or put their needs and wants aside for their family. And that is understandable and okay, but to an extent. For my own personal life, my self-care journey has been a journey over the last 2 years, and I'm continuing to improve and learn every day. With that, I learned along the way that from my personal life, there was a time about 2 years ago where I was trying to be the best person I could in terms of being the best sister, best daughter, volunteering. I had just started my business and I was trying to be a good friend, and I was continuing to give myself, and I had a problem saying no. I had no boundaries, and because I was so helpful in helping others, I was constantly being asked for help, and it came to a point where I was constantly doing things for other people, and I wasn't able to prioritize my own health. I wasn't able to work out. I wasn't able to take the time out to make meals for myself on a regular basis. And over time, I was losing sleep. I was sleeping less than 6 hours a day because I was spending a lot of time helping others. And then if I wanted time for myself, it usually came at the very end of the day, but it came at the cost of my sleep. And over time, this eventually built up resentment where I started to think hey, I'm helping these people, but why are they not helping me? And my health also suffered in the process. And I got to a point where I realized that things really needed to change for me to prioritize, to actually become healthy. And that meant that I had to make time for myself, which meant that I had to learn to say no and set boundaries and keep those boundaries. And that was a little difficult, of course, at first. But with time, I started to see a pattern that when I told people no, and if I said that I wanted to use that time for myself or prioritize me going to the gym, making sure I get sleep, the people that truly cared about me and my well-being, they understood. The people who were benefiting from me having no boundaries and not saying no would get upset because it was convenient for them and beneficial to them if I continued to do things for them and help them. Over time, I started to become more aware and notice this pattern more and more with certain people, both in the sense of those supporting me and those that didn't like me having boundaries and saying no to them. And eventually in this 2-year journey, I've learned a lot of things, and I've spent a lot of time investing in myself and taking care of myself and becoming healthier mentally, physically, emotionally because of it. now I get to be that best version of myself so that when I am with people that I love, I am giving my best version. I am not cranky. I am more present. I'm able to have that connection with them, engage in conversations with them, actually listen, and just have a more deeper connection with the people I love. I've also become more aware about these relationships, so I may not have as many friendships or other people in my life, but the people that I am connected with, it is on a deeper level. So the quality of my friendships and relationships have improved, even though the quantity has gotten down, which I am more than happy with.
If you're loving this episode and you want to get started on your self-care journey, check out my 2024 Hormone Health Journal, which is linked in the description box below, where I provide you with journal prompts to get started, as well as give you practical tips and tools to stay on this journey through 2024, and not only that, but also achieve your health goals.
Now I get to be that example for people in my life by practicing self-care and self-love. They see that, they ask me for help for it. I give them tips. I am that person that reminds them, and then they come back to me and say things like, oh, you'll be proud that I scheduled that massage, or you'll be proud that I did work out for 10 minutes today, even though I didn't want to. I knew you would say to me that just work out at least 10 minutes if it's better than 0 minutes. And so it's things like that that have made me realize that me taking care of myself has caused a positive ripple effect in the relationships in my life. And those people are taking care of themselves, which is also further causing a ripple effect in the relationships in their life, and so on and so forth. And so now with that perspective shift, I hope you realize that self-care is not selfish and it doesn't negatively affect your relationships. It actually improves them. Self-care means something different to everyone. It could be something you do on a daily basis, weekly basis. You could do it for free. You could spend money on it. And I believe that the main obstacle with self-care is the mindset, which I addressed right now. But a few tips on how to actually get started with self-care if you are like how I was a few years ago. For my whole life, I never engaged in self-care, so it was really difficult to know where to get started. I did mention a few things about just looking at improving my sleep and making sure I take time out to work out and eat healthier meals. But beyond that, think about the things that you enjoyed doing when you were a child. Yes, we're all adults and we grow up and we have responsibilities, but that doesn't mean we don't like doing the things we like doing when we were children. If that meant you enjoyed coloring or being artistic, you could get an adult coloring book. If it meant, if you enjoyed playing an instrument, you may not take lessons now, but you could listen to the music. You could periodically play that instrument again. Another way is by thinking about your love language, which I have talked about in previous videos, and learning what your love language is and applying it to yourself, whether it's spending quality time with yourself, with examples of activities I just gave, whether it is saying affirmations to yourself, getting a massage for yourself, things like that. I want to end by giving you guys an analogy. So think about your cupboard and think about a glass that has been sitting at the top of the shelf for years and years that you don't get to ever use, and so it has dust collected. And if you take that cup out, you have to clean the dust off. And so that analogy is that the dust are limiting beliefs and the cultural conditioning we have around self-care. So we have to take that out, clean it up, which is getting rid of those beliefs, cleaning the cup. And then we fill the cup with the self-care that we do for ourselves. And then once our cup is full and it's overflowing, then we can give the best version of ourselves to others. I would love to hear how you're going to get started with self-care. If you're watching on YouTube, let me know in the comments. If you're listening on podcast, I'd love to hear from you in the DMs at pcos.holistic.coach. As always, be kind to yourself, be patient, and focus on progress, not perfection. Thank you.